I'm Pimm Fox. All right, oil production in the United States is making a comeback. The number of working rigs in this country has reached a 24-year high due to new drilling techniques and new technology. So does that mean we're ever going to see lower prices at the pump? And what does that mean for our economy? My guests are Mike Englund, chief economist, Action Economics, and joining us, Charlie Maxwell, senior energy analyst at Weeden Co. Charlie has been in the oil business, I looked it up, they said since 1957, Charlie.
True.
All right, so a lot of demand for oil. Let's just focus on the United States. Oil means driving. In the United States, if we see more production, getting more oil out of existing wells and indeed using new technology to tap new sources, does that mean we're going to see more production in the U.S. in the future?
Yes, I think we are, but more on the gas side than on the oil side, but nevertheless some new oil and a lot of new gas. But that will be taken out of our imports. And that's wonderful because it means that the dollar has a chance to recover a little bit, taking a long-term view. It means that the imposition of what is essentially a tax on every American citizen to pay for imported oil is going to be lessened and improved. And it gives our industry a chance to be very competitive worldwide, which has other foreign exchange implications that are strong for the dollar. No one saw this coming 5 years ago. It's been a wonderful change of outlook.
Mike Englund, come in on the topic of energy and the U.S. economy. As Charlie says, natural gas, particularly new technology, new access to natural gas, how's that affecting our ability to grow?
Well, I think it's going to be a huge positive for the economy. And in fact, one stealth recovery that links to the statistics you were citing is the mining component of industrial production. You don't hear talk much about in the market, but the mining component's growing at about a 20 to 30% clip. We've seen about a one-year massive recovery, and partly it's because commodity prices have recovered so dramatically. And as noted, drilling technologies and natural gas have improved pretty dramatically. A couple of interesting cross-currents for the economy, though. Natural gas prices are actually quite low because we're bringing this product on the market rapidly. It's largely a domestic product. It's hard to export. But when it comes to oil, it's really a global commodity, and oil demand globally is continuing to grow. So even though we're producing more domestically, it may not impact the global mix for oil. So we're probably going to keep seeing oil and gasoline prices at the pump climb, even though natural gas prices are quite low, and that could be a big opportunity for the U.S. economy.
I want more of your thoughts on oil, Charlie, but before we do that, I want to just get more on natural gas. There's a lot of controversy using fracturing technology to extract natural gas. There have been reports where neighbors are fighting neighbors about letting their land be used for natural gas exploration. Are we going to resolve this, or are we just going to stand with a piecemeal 50-state approach?
The piecemeal 50-state approach is a nightmare because each one will be different, and then it will be very costly to adjust as you drill one well in one state and then you go 10 miles away to drill another well and you find you're in another state and the requirements are entirely different. So I think that the best thing and the logical thing, and I think what will finally happen, is that the American government will step in.
The federal government.
Federal government, and set standards for everybody.
Do you think that's going to happen before the 2012 election, though?
Probably not. That's going to be an issue. But on the rest of the fracking issue, there is an awful lot of concern about it, but actually a careful look at going back to what the problem was and checking on how the accident occurred and so on, finds that it's not really the drilling itself that's causing the issues. It's storage that breaks on the surface, or it's a line that breaks on the surface. It turns out that most of the reported accidents are differently sourced than they are claimed to be, and that fracking and horizontal drilling are really not the villains here.
Mike Englund, come in on the topic of this new technology. Is that in and of itself a new industry for the United States that we can capitalize on?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at the entire mining and drilling industry globally, the U.S. has been a massive player in that industry. We globally dominate not only R&D, but also drilling equipment, platform equipment, and so forth. And coming up with new technologies for natural gas and developing the ability to bring that to market is going to be a huge plus. It is unfortunate that natural gas is hard to export, because the U.S. could actually be a huge exporter of natural gas if it were more physically possible. As it stands, we're going to have to rotate our domestic demand toward natural gas. It'd be great to see that happen. As of now, as I understand it, that transition has been slow, and some of the issues have been brought up. There are a lot of political issues that will have to be addressed, and it'll involve a lot of long-term investments that will take time to plan. These developments with natural gas have been fairly recent.
Sorry, U.S. oil imports are down. One reason, of course, is production at domestic U.S. oil companies. Also, new technology and techniques, they are transforming the natural gas industry. My guest, Charlie Maxwell, senior energy analyst at Weeden Co. Charlie, talk a little bit more about natural gas, because this is really where we're seeing this production increase in the United States. We were just talking during the break that what this means is we're going to have to find more uses for natural gas, because this is what we've got.
Yes, Pimm, that's right on. The problem is that we're finding it in new technological ways and such new volumes that we can't put it to good use immediately. As your other presenter said, it takes capital expenditure years to prepare ourselves to do this by feeding, say, more gas to utilities, and then utilities produce the electricity, and then we have electric cars that use the electricity and so on. That's a 10-year cycle. So the immediate way of doing it is to open particularly new transport means to using natural gas, like liquefied natural gas in trucks, compressed natural gas in cars, ways to blow it chemically through a series of stages that take the gas and come out with a liquid, gas-to-liquid plants, which they're working on. Dow is working on this very strongly. And if you could do that, you could mix the new gas-based oil liquids into the gasoline, and you would have a real source of new gasoline that did not come from oil.
Tell us about the stocks that might actually benefit from natural gas production, because people want to figure out a way to make money, not only if they necessarily own the acreage, but how do you make money in this business?
Well, the old gas way was to go down with vertical wells, and both the big companies and the small independent producers did it that way. But now, with the new technologies coming in, it's mostly a group of young, technologically oriented companies, EOG Resources, in the Bakken example, in Ghana, in some of the Canadian natural gas, shale gas fields, Chesapeake and Devon in the south of the U.S., particularly in some of these big shale plays, the Haynesville,
the Marcellus,
the Barnett, and yes, so that's going to be the game, changing the use of gas from gas into transportation, which has been previously served 98% by oil.
What about liquefied natural gas as a potential export product? Are there other countries in the world that are better suited to absorbing that kind of energy?
I think there are, and right now we've got 4 new applications to re-export our own gas. We've got a lot of intake ports, but we don't have a lot of export ports. But one will come on in 2015, Cheniere, and then probably 2 or 3 more in 2016 and 2017. It's another way out, an important way out.
And Cheniere just signed that deal with BG, right? In the UK, sent their stock soaring.
Absolutely. And so I think it's going to take till about 2020 to get this sorted out. But in the end, I think we're going to be big exporters of natural gas and big users within. This is one of the 2 ways out of the energy crisis. The other is energy conservation.
Conservation and natural gas. I want to thank you very much. Charlie Maxwell joining us from Weeden & Company. Always a pleasure. Thanks for your insights.